Okay, so this is Omnibus Friday, episode 22, I think. I think 23 next week, so will be the last one, at least for Marvel and DC. I'll double check to make sure that that's the case. I'm about a week to do so, even though I'm filming one of them ahead of time. I'm filming both 23 and 20, or 22 and 23 today. Just to get them both out of the way, so I can have next week's, all set. But the last one will be Bitter Roots. That's the one that I read all the way through, and want to talk about a lot, so I'll do that then. Because a lot of the Marvel and DC ones, I haven't read them all the way through. In fact, this one, actually, the next two I haven't read it at all. But this one I have read some of the issues that come before The Authority by Warren Ellis. Now, this is one, actually, it's also by Mark Millar, too. But there is a Stormwatch comes before Authority. Some of the characters, almost all the characters, I want to say, appear in Stormwatch before they do Authority, and that's written by Warren Ellis. So I have read a few issues of that. Actually, I did read the first. There's 2 volumes. I read the first volume. I did like it. It started out kind of slow. It started out kind of like it started out very redundant, I guess you could say. But as it went along, it got really good. And I think I read part of the second volume too, but I definitely had read the first volume. And I did like it, so I hear The Authority is even better. Now, The Authority, I want to say, is The Boys before The Boys, because it was kind of like that deconstruction of superheroes, like a Watchmen did it, but it was more so like it evolved from how Watchmen was. Obviously not as good as Watchmen is, from what I've heard, but, and nothing really has been, but still worthy of being in the same class as Watchmen. This is the Omnibus. Now, this is, I think, out of print right now, because the movie coming up. I will be definitely will be trying to read this Omnibus before the movie comes out, which I have plenty of time to do that. So there's what looks like on the dust jacket, or on board, as they say. And it's also, as you can tell, a wraparound cover. And this collects, you know, it says on the back here, like how it always should, as it always should. So, artist is Brian Hitch, who also co-created it, looks like. Mark Millar comes in, and that was the second series. So this one collects The Authority, 1 through 29, Planetary The Authority, so there's a crossover there, it's kind of funny. Ruling the World, number 1. Authority Annual 2000, number 1. Jenny Sparks, The Secret History of the Authority, 1 through 5. And stories from Wildstorm's Summer Special and Wildstorm, a celebration of 25 years. Now, 25 years is kind of a funny one, because there was, I think, a 30-year anniversary one that came up fairly recently, and Warren Ellis did have a story in there, but it's just a reprint of what's already in a 25-year one, which is kind of funny. I had thought about getting that one, though. I've honestly thought about getting into more into Wildstorm, like Wildcats, reading that for Once and For All, and, like, all those kinds of books. Even Image back in the day, like Youngblood and stuff like that, like those infamous comics that I know aren't going to be any good, but I still want to read them. And here is the artwork for The Authority. Every time I turn my head even slightly, I'm blinded by the sun. So, okay, you can see it. So my hand's going to obviously cover it. Obviously. My hand's always going to cover it. When I'm holding up an omnibus, it's very hard to hold up, so you won't see the whole entire full 2 pages like I usually do, like I'm usually able to do with the book. That's not this thick. This one isn't actually that thick. So, from what I've heard, from what I remember, this was kind of like a superhero team. It was pretty good. I did like Stormwatch, but I think all the problems I have with Stormwatch will not be will be fixed by the time, Planetary, by the time we get to The Authority. Now, the Mark Millar stuff I heard was not as good as Warren Ellis's. It kind of went a darker turn, and it had a different tone than The Authority was used to, so it wasn't like The Authority. But I really do dig Mark Millar's writing, and I've never read anything by him I haven't liked. So I'm sure I will like this a lot. Can't say it. I don't think I won't like it. In fact, if I don't go through... I have 2 sets of books I want for my birthday. Technically 3. And if I don't go with the first one, I'll be getting I might just be getting everything Mark Millar did for Image Comics. Very hard to do that, too, because he's done a lot for Image Comics. And Kick-Ass is, I would technically have to count that, even though he didn't write every single volume of Kick-Ass. Like, some of them he pawned off, like Steve Niles. He did some. Kevin Smith did one. Which I always found weird, because I always thought Image Comics was, like, creator-owned. Yeah, of course, you can still say, like, okay, you're a good, yes, you can say okay. And of course, like, someone like Mark Millar was like, oh, I read this book by, Kevin Smith. He did this really good Batman comic. I want him to write the next volume of Kick-Ass while I work on, Chrononauts, or while I work on Wanted, whatever he was working on at the time. I know they can do that, but it's still kind of strange, because Image is always, like, has been known for creator-owned work. But that, as is that, just a quick little overview of the Authority Omnibus. Not a lot to say about this one. I do recommend you get it. I think Warren Ellis is hardly ever disappoints. Even his Global Frequency, I have come to appreciate. It's one I've read 1,000 times to really, because it's the one book by Warren Ellis I could say right off the bat that I didn't like as much as everyone else did. But I have come to appreciate that book, and I've come to like that. As time has gone on. I do, the only thing that's pushing me back from reading this is that there is a follow-up series called The Wildstorm that's written by Warren Ellis, and I kinda want to wait until I get that in order to read this. I think I would have to read that, after, and I would think that, one of those things, it's like a continuation of it. From what I can tell, I don't think it is, but it's that Jenny Sparks features in it. But maybe they'll come out with Omnibus or not. They shouldn't. Well, nobody don't, because they don't want to give Warren Ellis. No one wants to give Warren Ellis anything because of that whole thing. But I'll not get into that. Just my brief thoughts on it is that I do think that people need to read more into it, kind of like just not have an automatic feeling about it, and maybe look more into what's been going on in the past 10 years of comics. That's all I'm gonna say. But that's it. Next one will be Uncanny X-Force, one I have not read a whole lot either. I should have prepared for this one, but I don't mind doing this, like by kind of just showing off the comic, because you guys can gauge your own responses. You guys can gauge your own feelings of the book. But like a lot of them, I read at least one issue of, and technically I read one issue of Uncanny X-Force, but it was just like a 10-page story prologue thing. That doesn't really count. That's it.